Are you going to raise it at the host country committee of the UN? Do you think it violates the host country agreement?
By the time we raise it, they already gone.
What was it? The frenzy, the madness. Okay, here we are, back at the UN. It's Monday, March 26th. Normally we'd be going here with all these fine individuals, fine, trustable individuals. But because we cover UN corruption, Big Tony, Antonio Guterres, and Amina Mohammed, in response to the nerve agent attack in Salisbury, UK, the US has today announced the expulsion of 60 Russians, 12 here in New York, 48 elsewhere, which seems to be the one in Seattle. The Seattle consulate is being closed in full. Oh, look at the great line we've got to go through. I guess we'll miss the Salisbury stakeout because the UN is corrupt.
You will know from the debate in the Security Council that Ambassador Allen took part in for the UK. It's an extremely serious matter for us. The P5 are meant to protect the global framework against the use of WMD, but I do know that the British Prime Minister will be making a statement later today, and I don't want to preempt that, but at the same time I think it's very welcome that our allies have shown such solidarity.
Okay, on Yemen, the envoy, Martin Griffiths, what's your sense of what he's been doing given the rising tensions? Has he begun his work, and can he speak to both sides, including the Houthis?
Martin is certainly in setting up his team, setting up his work, working out what the best next steps would be. Foreign Secretary and Prime Minister have both raised the issue of Yemen with the Saudi Crown Prince and with Martin Griffiths. We as UK stand ready to give Martin every possible support we can. I know that he wants to get into talks as soon as he credibly can, but we leave it to Martin to work out the details. We are here to support him and make a contribution in that way. Thank you very much.
All these people can come down here with no escort because they're so respected by the United Nations. I've gotten my escort. Now I'm going to film. Let me explain. Because UN Intercity Press covered UN corruption, it was evicted from its office, which makes it a non-resident correspondent. To come down here, we need a minder. These people don't, of course. Wonder why. In fact, also the never-present Egyptian Sana Yusuf doesn't need one either. This is all due to Alison Smale and Antonio Guterres and Amina J. Mohammed. For now, the trio of censorship. There, the golden man of Kazakhstan. He stands approximately 7 feet tall, shimmering, on the way to the PGA's office. Down this hall is the office of the PGA, where once John Ash was bribed. May he rest in peace. And then Sam Kutesa was bribed. He is alive. He is the foreign minister of Uganda. This was all done by a Chinese oil company's NGO called the China Energy Fund Committee. And they're still a part of ECOSOC. Why? Well, the president of ECOSOC is the ambassador of Czech Republic, whose president made the head of the Chinese oil company his own advisor because he bought a radio station, tried to buy a bank. Corruption.
About the UN's ghoulish regime of censorship, in which all of the journalists that you saw there have full access. Workspace upstairs, full access, and Intercity Press, which writes 17 stories a day about the UN, many of them critical, not all, but many, which I think is the goal of journalism, is to hold the institution that you cover accountable, not just to be sucked in and a sycophant to it so you can write about something else. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. But that's a subtext. One of the reasons that the UN is so incompetent and so inefficient is that they have no sense, they don't hold themselves to any standard. None of the things that they say they believe in, freedom of the press, due process, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, accountability for wrongdoing, they don't live up to a single one of them. They killed 10,000 people in Haiti, didn't pay a penny. The critical journalists that ask some days often some many days half of the questions of them critically, thrown in the street, restricted to minders. We could continue. Taking golden statues from an overdog dictator in Cameroon. Sending a deputy that's so closely, claiming that they are international civil servants, but actually praising some leaders' speeches. This was the case of UN security and the famous bomb and fuse. This would be the bomb and that would be the fuse. This is the case of the Deputy Secretary General who said, Buhari is my president. I'm ready for a new song. I think you're right. I'm working a little hard these days, but I'm ready to rock out. Okay, we're going to go back to the stakeout. Okay, here we are. We ran up to the booth, hoping to find the list of speakers on this meeting on the Middle East to see if Russian Ambassador Nebenzia would be coming to speak, so we could ask him about the expulsion of 60 Russian diplomats. But by the time we arrived, China was speaking. There's Karen Pierce. She had already spoken. We'd hoped to come up. We spoke to her on the way in. We asked her a question about Yemen and Martin Griffiths. But by the time we came in, China was speaking, and that was described by the President, Netherlands, as being the last speaker. So the meeting is over. No Nebenzia. We had to get a minder to try to reach Nebenzia. This slowed us down from even being able to hear what happened up here. But the search will continue. There's Ukraine's ambassador, Ambassador Yevchenko, and his spokesman. They may have also expected Nebenzia to show. Now, sometimes these Middle East meetings go much longer. Today, Mansour, there's Miroslav Yencha of DPA chatting it up with Karen Pierce. There's the UK spokesman, Matt Moody. Now, be aware, Karen Pierce, we're going to give her all the benefit of the doubt, but the mission and the Foreign Office of the UK denied in full Inner-City Press's Freedom of Information Act, UK Freedom of Information Act request about Yemen and Cameroon. After delaying for 5 months, they didn't provide a single document. They claimed it's all on the website of the mission. Oh yeah, all the stuff about, there's nothing about Cameroon there. And her predecessor as permanent representative said repeatedly that the UK was assessing the level of repression and violence in Cameroon to see whether to ask for an AOB briefing. So either that wasn't true, or the FOIA responses are lying. We've appealed. Same too on Yemen. They said it's all public, or it's going to harm us, harm our reputation and relations to release it. That's not FOIA. It makes a mockery of FOIA. And as to their spoon-feeding of scribes, they said it's all oral. Well, no. There's some emails, and we're pursuing them on appeal. It's a joke. Okay, looks like we've hit a new low here. As the Security Council winds down, the failure continues and the censorship to boot. Left the Security Council because the meeting is over. Russia's Ambassador Nebenzia, that we're seeking comment from, didn't appear for this meeting following the expulsion. But what we can report and what we have decided to reveal in Technicolor is the perfect example of UN corruption. Oh wait, they're locking up the base. They're locking up their clubhouse. Their corrupt club. But they threw Inner-City Press's files in the street after rifling through them for covering UN corruption. And they installed an Egyptian state media, Akbar al-Yawm, whose Sana Yusuf has not asked a question in the UN for 10 years. Her only claim to fame, her only claim in order to have this windfall of corruption, was that she was once the president of the UN Correspondents Association in 1984. Yes, Orwell's 1984. We won't this time purport to show the long line of sleazeballs. Oh, excuse me. It may have been a fine organization at one point. Of late, it seeks to evict and censor investigative press and to sidle up to the most corrupt elements in the UN system. Yes, you can find it. And so, let's go check it out. I could explain. We went to cover their meeting in the UN press briefing room, which you have every right to enter when it's open to journalists. And it was full of journalists. It was just only full of journalists of the UN Correspondents Association. They got the spokesman to say, you got to leave. Stefan Dujarric, who you'll see later today, said, you got to leave. I said, I don't understand. Do you have any paperwork? If you do, we'll go. No paperwork. I said, well, if a guard asks us to go, we'll go. The guard said, he wants you to go. No paperwork, can you go? Left. Left immediately. Put the whole video up because there's nothing wrong with it. They should be ashamed. No. 3 weeks later, without a single discussion, no appeal, nothing, thrown in the street. Thrown in the street. Files evicted for corrupt retirees. That was the room where it all took place. Because we dared cover a meeting of a group which took money from a convicted briber, we have been required for 2 years to get minders from this place here. Even as we write 17 stories a day, a disgusting, dissolute presentation. And now, we come down. Still no Nebenzia. The consultations have begun. Not going to treat the press all the same. We'll go our own route. So for now, we'll leave this one down to Nebenzia Hall. Let's get a straight and clear shot. Okay? We'll be back. Who else is coming through? It's a huge gaggle of individuals. We don't know who they are. Let's see. Let's back up behind the no food allowed sign. No food? Now, one time, later this week, we're going to have Salman, Prince Salman. But who are these jokers? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. Wait a moment. Is it the big man himself? Is it the big... No, it is Saudi. This is a Saudi team. This is the Saudi advance team. You've caught it here. The Saudi advance team for MBS. MBS, not mortgage-backed securities. Not mortgage-backed securities, but Mohammed bin Salman. Are they going up? Are they preparing for the visit tomorrow of the man with his own National Enquirer magazine, Mohammed bin Salman? Salman. Wait a moment. Oh. Let's check it out. Saudis. So this is a huge conundrum. This is an enormous Saudi delegation getting briefed on the logistics of Mohammed. This is getting ready for Mohammed bin Salman. We're allowed to film here, and we're filming. I'm sorry I missed the comment from Washington. I'm not sure I'll be going to be able to see it. If you want to repeat it, I'm now stationed here, filming this capitulation. He's a journalist. He's trying to worm in. They're letting him in. Sure, he's Saudi enough to be in. He's in the house. We're here. Go ahead. Just filming the Saudi circus. It's a Saudi circus. This is the logistics of the security of Prince Mohammed bin Salman. The man with the $475 million yacht. The man with an art collection and a collection of heads of Yemeni civilians. The last is a joke, I suppose. I don't know nobody knows what's in the cooler of the yacht. Nobody knows. They're planning it out. How will it be? Will there be open press? If you're going to meet the Guter, and you are a head of state, it cannot be closed. Cannot be closed press. No matter how many photographers want to get that Mohammed bin Salman shot, he's going to come up the escalator. How's it going to work? We don't know. They're planning it out. Salman will come up the escalator. Then he'll lay down a big bag of loot on the ground. Tony will genuflect. Big Tony Guterres will genuflect with the Saudis. Let this periscope run forever. This is the absolute sellout of the UN. There are some heads of state that can't even meet with Guterres. He's too busy. Too busy with his socialist friends and big Portuguese sausages. But this big sausage will be meeting with the Guter. And it's possible that the press will be excluded. We don't know. It's the Mohammed bin Salman advance party. The world's biggest leader has the world's biggest advance party. Mohammed bin Salman's advance team, getting the full UN treatment. How to come up the escalator, where to leave the bag of cash. I don't know. That's why I'm here, pushing it to the limit. Bags of cash for Big Tony. Yes, he can buy his way off any list, any human rights list. There is no list hot enough that it can't be bought off. Bag of cash. Or in the alternative, the withdrawal of the bag of cash. This is the beginning of the Salman visit. Wait a second. Back in heat? No, he's got the car. Will Salman take the escalator? Big Salman? Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Yes, the man. Now, there are many staff members here are actually paid by the press, paid by Mohammed bin Salman. Hence the counterterrorism office, $100 million to pretend the Saudis aren't connected to terrorism. Oh, sorry. That was only on 9/11. Since then, it's been an unmitigated decade more than a decade of cooperation on all things counterterrorism. Right? Well, spreading it in some places, cutting it back in others. Now, they're planning it out. Who will go upstairs? Who can go upstairs? We got a tall guy. It's March Madness, of course. March Madness? Uh-oh. He's not part of the Saudi team. It takes a certain look. He is, however, this way. Yes, it's true. We are here. Oh, journalists wandering around. Look, even that guy has a permanent correspondent, permanent representative, the man on crutches. Well. Here, the former head of SCAD, Security Council Affairs. Now he works for the General Assembly. He got a promotion. Who else is coming through? This is some pretty serious planning and plotting. This is some pretty serious business. When King Salman, now the question is, are they going to arrange for a praise by Matthew Sullivan? If Matthew Sullivan loved so much, the speech by Netanyahu about Iran bomb fuse, are there any bon mots by MBS that Sullivan can praise on camera? It can be arranged. Salman has Facebook. Salman might open Facebook. Okay, let's count the size of the delegation. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We got 8. It's a big delegation. Mohammed bin Salman will make his appearance. Photographs with Big Tony. Yes, it's true. The last guy, he's giving the evil eye. Try to do this in Riyadh, you'll be confined to a hotel for the longest. But this, of course, is the UN. They already throw the press in the streets. Corrupt individuals. Oh, tall guy deferred. Tall guy had to defer. No, tall guy's swiping his way through. Okay. Well, you've seen it. The absolute capitulation. The capitulation of the UN to Mohammed bin Salman. The big prince will arrive. The prince with the most, with a bag of cash for Tony G. Big Tony G will receive his bag of cash tomorrow. Yes, tomorrow. We'll do it here. Look, check it out. Others do stakeouts here. Why not us? Here we are. At the UN Security Council, we can tell you the UN is entirely corrupt. The UN is going to be taking bags of cash from Mohammed bin Salman tomorrow, behind these flags to buy these votes right here. Expulsion of diplomats. You didn't finish reading the thing, but I guess I just wonder: is there any who determines it? Obviously, who determines whether these activities were outside of the scope of their authorized activities? Is it solely the host country? Is there no review of it? What's your understanding of how a host country could not just abuse it and say whatever I'm accusing you of is outside of the scope?
Well, to repeat what I said earlier, given the sensitivity of the matter, which is ongoing, we will not comment further at this stage, other than to confirm that the Secretary General will closely follow this matter and engage as appropriate with the governments concerned.
And on corrupt, I doubt that the UN can do anything about these expulsions or anything else. Egyptian Akbar al-Yam, assigned to Interstate Press Office, no questions, of course. No questions for 10 years. The UN is corrupt. I could go down the line here how this is part of the situation. But for now, we're in search of anything to do with the expelled diplomats. 2 spokesmen in a row had no answer, no questions. Several of the individuals here are very big in the journalism is not a crime movement, except when it applies to the UN. We have security. It's all here. The Sleaze Fest. Will Big Tony be arriving? Black Mercedes. He's pulling in for the night. He usually rolls with a 4x4 full of machine gun armed security behind, but this time it's just Big Tony's big black car, parked on Beekman Place. Now he lives just up the street, often bopping home. Big Tony likes a big lunch. The topic of today's Big Tony lunch is the DRC. Then why does the spokesman lie and dissemble? Let's be diplomatic. Why did he say, of course DRC's going in April? Well, it might be time for the Dutchman. This is a fine and venerable apartment building in which the Dutch ambassador makes his residence. The UK ambassador as well lives on the street. Big Tony just up the way at Sutton Place and 57th Street. There's a lot of money being spent, and yet the people in places like Anglophone Cameroon are seeing none of the benefits. Now, is Big Tony's wheels, are Big Tony's wheels gonna idle the whole time? It's possible. It's possible. Big Tony's driver, I know the gentleman. He's often up on 38. Sometimes he's on 57 Street, that is. Oh yes, oh yes. The plantation is in full effect. Tony's wheels are waiting. And we'll wait for Tony too. Let's check our battery check. Oh, we're 31%. Not too good. Not too good. Not too good. Oh, it look like they managed to get. Oh, here comes the well. Okay. We're against the plantation managers. The UN Censorship Alliance. We're against them. They throw journalists in the street. They take money from neglected, convicted bribers. Not neglected. Never neglected. Check out what Big Tony's license plate is. Here comes Mr. Ben. It's Seguria. Well, you'd have to ask them. I only recently arrived, and I'm standing like this. Standing like this. I'm going to film now. They're rolling in. Now, let's check out Big Tony's license. It is already. Big Tony. Big Tony is. We're going to have to get a little bit closer. Told him to could not use a microphone. Tony is lunching at 1 Beekman Place. Tony's lunch. Big Tony's lunch. So rolls Big Tony. Big Tony's big ride. Big Tony's big security. In order to come 1 block away from the United Nations, he needed a black Mercedes. Yeah, exactly. Oh. The Japanese guard rolling. Now we can say it is a Suburban. There it is.
Is this a crisis in relations with the U.S.? And will you retaliate?
It's been some time already. Didn't you notice?
But what did you say to Nikki Haley at the lunch?
At the lunch, I informed everybody about the decision that the American authorities took, which we were informed this morning. That's it.
Will you retaliate? Do you intend to expel as well?
Listen to what Moscow will say. You know that diplomacy supposes that there is a response when such things happen.
And how do you see this move?
Normally, it's a mirror-like response, but wait for what Moscow will say.
The host country. Are you going to raise it at the host country committee of the UN? Do you think it violates the host country agreement?
By the time we raise it, they are already gone.
What was it? The frenzy, the madness.